Hello, thank you so much for joining today. Today's going to be all about backyard birds and how to attract them to your backyard, as well as how to identify the birds that you see in your backyard. So this is going to be a fun video, and I hope you think so too, and we'll hit that subscribe and like button, and I appreciate it so much. I've been doing this birding thing for just almost 3 years now, and even though I've done photography for over 10 years, the interest in birding and nature photography, although I've always loved nature and I've always loved birds, didn't really start until March of 2020, right around the time when the pandemic occurred. Perfect timing for being outside all the time and taking thousands and thousands of pictures of birds, and mainly right here in my own backyard. I have a handful of different types of bird food that I use to attract birds to my backyard. Now this is just personal preference, but there are definitely other choices to go with. But right now I use these suet cakes that I get from our local Rural King farm store. It is the Apple Snack Suet Plus and the Peanut Butter Blend Suet Plus Suet Cakes. Now, several birds love these suet cakes. These suet cakes attract downy woodpecker, red-bellied woodpecker, tufted titmice, Carolina chickadee, northern cardinals, and several other types of backyard birds who love this stuff. And then I also have black orioles sunflower seed, unshelled peanuts, and mealworms. Now the mealworms are specifically for just a few birds, like the eastern bluebird, who I don't think I've ever seen eat anything but the mealworms. So they are definitely attracted to that. And I think I've seen them actually eat suet. The peanuts also attract several different kinds of birds: woodpeckers, titmice, Carolina chickadee, white-breasted nuthatch, and many others. So I'll go ahead and take you through the steps of setting up or mixing the food up to bring in the most birds possible. Here in the state of Indiana, where I live, I have a very simple setup. It's nothing fancy. Now I have a cup of mealworms, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get it filled up all the way. And then I'm going to go over here, and we have a tray feeder, and I'm just going to add a couple of coffee mugs size portions to that feeder. That is what the feeder looks like. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring you over to the shed area and dip into the sunflower seed and get a cup of sunflower seed to add to the mealworms in the tray feeder. And I'm going to add another cup. bird seed. Ouch. And mix it in there, and then I'm going to take my hand. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. Like that. And then I'm going to go over to our picnic table. And I have this little tiny bag of peanuts because the last time we went, they were the big bags. I had to get like 3 little bags. And I scoop it up myself. At our local Rural King, they have these stations where there's food you can actually scoop and fill your own bag with, and I think it actually saves a couple of dollars, and every dollar counts for me. So you get way more in a bag, or even 3 little bags, than you do in a pre-filled Ziploc type bag. Like that bag of mealworms is like $30 or $40. It's what I'm going to do instead of trying to fill it up in a cup. I'm gonna go walk over to the feeder. And I'm just going to pour. Hopefully not too much. I think that is good for now. Sometimes I do this twice a day on really cold, freezing cold days when it's icy and snowy. I do it 3 times a day because there are tons of birds out here. Always hungry when it's super, super cold out. So that's how I do that one. And then I have, show you over here. Up here I have a suet cake. And up here I have where I put suet balls, but it's currently empty and I don't have a way to fill them up right now. So that suet cake, and then over here I have another suet cake. And then during the summer, or in just the end of April and beginning of May, I'll be filling that up with sugar water for the ruby-throated hummingbirds that come in during spring migration and summer. And then over here, I have another suet ball feeder, which is also pretty much empty, but they're still eating that little bit that's left, so that's why I'm leaving it up. And here I have sunflower seed tube feeder, and another thing that I fill up for the bluebirds. Nuthatches and chickadees and tufted titmice also like mealworms. And then here, I just set this up a couple of days ago, and this is the branch that I use for a backyard studio. Use it to get pictures or photographs of the birds. It helps with getting the right light and the right background. When you take photographs of birds and wildlife, even in a setting like this, in your backyard, in your garden, or right outside your window, or on your back patio or porch, you want to make them as natural looking as possible. So, not taking pictures on the feeders and on the feeder poles, and things like that help with getting the best results possible. And I mean, of course you can take pictures of birds on the feeders. I've done it lots and lots. For this first year, I was taking pictures of the birds all the time on the feeders that I had at the time. And when I got these, I also did it when I got these as well. But I am trying to, and have successfully, cut that back quite a bit. And the reason for cutting it back is because I really do like the results of getting them photographed on a more natural background, perch, things like that. It just makes it a lot more aesthetically pleasing to look at for the viewer and for the photographer. So that's my setup for right now as far as my backyard feeding goes. And that's how you can actually attract your birds to your backyard, is to set up some bird feeders, different types, suet feeders for woodpeckers and titmice and nuthatches and chickadees, and then the sunflower seeds, the goldfinches and the finches like the house finch and purple finches and the house sparrows. They will eat basically everything here that I have. And there's of course a lot of other choices to go with. For the second part of the video today on attracting backyard birds and tips on how to identify your birds in your backyard, this is the part where I show you how to identify them using a phone app. Now this app is available on both Android phones and Apple phones. So go to your Apple Store or your Google Play Store. Download the app. It's called Merlin ID. Once you do that and make an account, you're just gonna go ahead and hit the icon, bring the app up, start ID. It'll ask you a couple of questions like, where did you see the bird? I'm going to put the location as current location, date as today's date, and then hit next. And then it's going to ask you what size was the bird. So I'm just going to click on the one that says that, which is a robin sized bird. Then it's going to ask you what colors the bird was. So let's say the bird is brown and white and black. And you can choose up to 3 colors. And then you go down here and you click on next. And then it's going to ask you another question that says, was the bird eating at a feeder, swimming or wading on the ground, in trees or bushes, on a fence or wire, or soaring or flying? And I'm going to say it was in trees or bushes. And then I'm going to go down here and click identify. And then it'll come up with some suggestions, suggestions on what type of bird it could have been. Now you can click on these pictures and it'll show you different pictures of the birds. And right now it's showing a eastern towhee, and this one is a female, that one is a male. There's another one, a really pretty picture of a male, and one on the ground. And then you can go ahead and hit "This is my bird," or you can go back and you can scroll through different types of birds that you might have seen with that description that you gave in those questions. So one of the answer or options is the red-headed woodpecker. So we can go ahead and click on that, and it'll give you some pictures of that bird as well. And then you can go ahead and say that's not it. So let's go down to the red-bellied woodpecker. Say that's not it either, and you want to go down to this next option that they gave you with the description that you, or the answers that you gave to the questions. And here's the red-winged blackbird, one of my favorite birds. There's a female, a male, another one of a female, and let's say that's the one that you saw. And then you have an option to save it with eBird, which is a online website that goes in much more detail on keeping track of everything that you see, mapping everything that you see. It does a lot, and I might go ahead and do a tutorial on how to use eBird as well on my computer at a later date. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and save with Merlin. Okay, and then I'll show you a map. And a map, it says, it looks like you saw the bird here, and it says backyard, and that's correct. So I'm going to go ahead and say next, and then it says backyard and then the date, and then you can go ahead and save it. But since I didn't actually see this bird today in the backyard, I'm not going to save this bird. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back, because I want to show you the life list. So down here, my life list, I made a new account for Merlin ID, just so I can keep my year's birding list separate for each year. So right now I'm up to 19 birds since the beginning of 2022. I have a whole bunch of lists of birds. Well, 19 actually. Not quite a lot yet, but I'm working on it. So the first one I got to see this year that was really cool was a red-shouldered hawk. And I've actually not been able to capture any decent footage or photographs of hawks, eagles, or owls, which I really want to get some photographs of some owls at some point. I'm hoping I can do that this year. And I definitely will share that footage and those photographs with you if and when I do. But at the beginning of this year, I actually got a really nice set of photos of a red-shouldered hawk at a local park that I go to a lot. But in the description, I'll give you descriptions on the bird. It'll give you sounds or calls that they make. I'm going to go ahead and play a call. Well, I would, except for I have my sound down on my phone. So hold on just a second. Okay. So that's the sound of a red-shouldered hawk. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap it again and then hit the map, and I'll show you the area in which you can find this bird. And then I'll have a little icon showing you, or a graph showing you what areas they are in during which season. So year-round, breeding, migration, and non-breeding times of the year. And there's the map. And that's just a sample of what you can do in that Merlin Bird ID app. And so that's all I have for you today, and please hit that subscribe button and like button and continue to watch my videos. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.